What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Boozer here. Thanks for stopping by. In this video, we are on the test server here, and we will be testing out the brand new fusion coming in a couple days from now, Kro'Khad the Throatripper. So Kro'Khad the Throatripper is the legendary dog champion that we've been waiting for so long. Finally in the game now after a year of getting teased by Plarium. There he is. He's from the Orc faction, Kro'Khad the Throatripper. He's a magic affinity damage dealing champion. He's attack base. Let's check out what his kit here is all about. Look at his base stats, guys. This is the one thing that makes my eyes pop out of my head. 1729 base attack, which is absolutely insane. Probably one of the highest non-mythical champions in the game. I mean, yeah, you don't see many champions over 1700 crit damage attack here. We have the boosted crit damage as well. No accuracy, very low base HP as expected from a damage dealer. Let's have a look at his kit here real quick. He's got an A1 AoE, deal single target damage instead of AoE damage, will ignore reflect damage, ally protection, and pain link. Now we will test this out in this test server here, whether it works on the Chimera or not. I received written confirmation that it does work against Chimera, so maybe the exact wording of this is a little bit off, but we'll test it out. This attack also deals double damage when counterattacking if Shaik is on the team. That's pretty nice. Double damage there on the A1. His A2 attacks all enemies, plays an extra hit, so it's a double hit if they have 2 debuffs. Has a 75% chance of placing a leech and weaken 100% chance when fully booked. These debuffs cannot be resisted if Shaik is on a team. Now that's really nice. If you have Shaik on a team, he doesn't need accuracy to land any of this stuff. Very, very solid. His A3 here, Dominant Predator, 3-turn cooldown when fully booked. Single enemy hit. Ignores 50% of the target's defense as well as life barrier, poison cloud, and effects that redirect attacks. This means the Head of Mischief can't avoid this attack damage or debuffs to another target. Repeat this attack if Shaik is on the team. Very, very awesome kit so far. And his passive increased his champion's attack by 5% when killing an enemy or decapitating a head up to 25%. Increase the champion's attack by 10% when killing an enemy or decapitating a Hydra head if Shaik is on team up to 50%. Instantly activate Dominant Predator, which is his A3 against a Hydra head when an ally is devoured by the head. So they did change this. Initially it said consumed, now it says devoured. So they did change this if Packmaster is on the team. So he instantly activates his A3 when a teammate gets eaten. That's really, really nice. Gives you a chance to free the teammate right away. I mean, it's a good kit. It's a good kit. The stats look impressive. Let's see what he can do in terms of a a damage dealing build, probably for PvE, and let's see what his damage can do stacked up against another damage dealer. All right, guys. So this is my Kro'Khad. I got him decked out here in a 9-piece merciless set. This is probably the preferred damage set of choice for PvE. You get extra damage stats. Attack-based damage dealer gets extra stats. Very nice. Speed as well. 35% ignore defense and a chance for an extra turn, so you can really punch up that damage here. Got some pretty good stats on him. 278 base speed, 100% crit rate, of course. 284 crit damage. A little bit of accuracy. We're going to run him without Shaik first. Just, make sure he's okay by himself. He doesn't need a partner to be good. But once he has Shaik, he doesn't need accuracy at all. All right, so 6.2k attack. He's 0 blessing or anything like that. He has very, very high base attack. So if you give him attack percentage, it really just elevates his build a lot. You can see here, I'm not going to run with the relic. I'm not going to run with blessing. Check out his masteries here. I did go down to Helm Smasher. I went for extra duration on the leech and weaken. Psycho magic for extra big attacks. Celerity for some extra turn meter, and that's about it. I mean, this is a standard, PvE kind of mastery set for him, for a damage dealer. I'll show you guys the individual pieces here. If you guys like speed, accuracy, crit rate, speed, crit rate, attack, speed, crit rate, accuracy, crit damage, crit rate, speed, accuracy, attack, accuracy, crit rate, speed. Like I said, we don't need accuracy once we start using Shaik. So speed, got a little bit of accuracy here as well. And then we got a attack banner here. You know what? I'll glyph this up. How about I glyph this up here for you guys? Boom. An extra 5% attack there. We got crit damage amulet. And then we got HP ring with a little bit of attack there. Obviously not perfect gear. But yeah, pretty decent gear, pretty decent stats overall. Let's see what he can do in terms of damage. We're going to head into the spider dungeon here. The reason why I want to go in the spider dungeon is because I want to compare his damage against a recent fusion, Fulll, because they have similar type of abilities. We can kind of cross-check their multipliers a little bit because we know Full's attack multipliers. So we can kind of deduce what Kro'Khad's multipliers would be based on their relative hits to each other, and then we can just swap the gears out as well. So let's test out Kro'Khad's abilities here against the spider. Kro'Khad does get, elevated if we use his attack in all battles aura, but in this case we'll just keep the baseline nice and flat without using the aura here. Okay, so I want to test out his I want to test out all his abilities in terms of overall damage. Let's test out his A3 here first. So this one ignores 50% of the target's defense. And since we're not fighting Hydras and stuff, that's not going to be any relevance right now. So let's test it out. 1 time speed and 121k hit. We'll just do 3 just in case we get some weird outliers or anything like that. So 121. This one, 120. Do one more here, 120. So 120, 121, pretty consistent. And one more hit, 117. So about 120 sounds okay. All right, going back in here, let's do the AoE here. So this is a double hit if they have 2 or more debuffs. So in this case, let's see if they land the leech and weaken first, and then he does the attack. Let's see. It's kind of hard to see, but it does feel like it is a double hit. I can't tell if the debuffs are landing first, but that makes sense. Of course, if it's double hit, it obviously makes sense. Let's try that again. Kind of hard to see. Yes, it is a double hit. It is a double hit, guys. I'm seeing about 78 and 100k. So 100k on the second hit. First hit's about 70 something K. Let's try that again. But he is placing the debuffs first. That's good. That's really good. Yeah. I see 88, 118. So that's probably Helm Smasher proc. So we're going to say, we're going to say 75 on the first hit and then probably 100-ish on the second hit. Of course, the second hit's going to be a little bit more powerful because he has the weaken applied. Let's try the A1 here and see what kind of damage he can do. So if he's doing 75k on the first initial hit on the A2, let's see what his A1 can do. It's just a single target attack. He deals single target damage. Sorry, it's an AoE attack dealing single target damage. And there's no additional damage multiplier. So let's see. Single hit, 50. 50 up to 57. 50 up to 57. Let's try that again. I think that's pretty consistent. We saw so many 50s. I saw a lot of 50s and I saw a lot of higher 50s. So that's probably Helm Smasher. So 55, 56. So yeah, it sounds pretty good. So now we take those numbers and then we basically compare them against a champion that we know the multipliers for. And, maybe they have similar abilities. So we can check them out that way. All right, guys, so I basically swapped the gear from the dog right onto Fulll here. I kind of want to use Fulll because, first of all, he doesn't have any additional blessings, which can kind of change the outcome of the damage. He does have blessings here, but it's not activated, so he doesn't get the stats or anything like that. He is fully booked, no relics or anything, and his base stats are pretty similar. 6k attack with 271 crit damage. It's probably a little bit less crit damage than the dog. In terms of masteries here, basically the same stuff. We go down to Helm Smasher as well. So nothing too crazy that will make an outlier damage showing. So I want to compare the ignore defense attack with Fulll. And we chose Spider because the Spider's a boss and is, and has minions. So that means his A2 here, will hit for 50% ignore defense instead of 25% because of the minions. Let's test out the A2 here. It is a double hit, so we only have to look for the first hit. All right. So 73, 75. So put together, it feels like about 150, which does feel like it's stronger than the dog's A3. Because the dog's A3 was hitting for about 120. And Fulll right now, his A2 is hitting for a combined 150 or so. All right, so that's good to know because now we can set a rough baseline for the dog's multipliers, right? Let me try that again just for consistency. Yeah, 75, 75, 75, so 150. So Tholin's A2 is more powerful than the dog's A3. Okay, let's test out this ability. Unfortunately, it will place weaken. I kind of want to see the AoE damage on his A1, but unfortunately it's going to place weaken, so it's going to be a little bit stronger than the dog's A1. So he's hitting for about 75 and 83. The dog was hitting for about 50, 50-ish, 50, 55. So obviously the weaken plays a big part in that little bit of damage boost. We can try that again. All right, we're going to try that again. See if we can find someone that maybe resists it. This one, 59. So this one didn't have the middle spider. This middle spider didn't have the weaken placed on it. It hit for 59k. So I would say Tholin's A1 is probably similar to the dog's A1, maybe slightly stronger. So that's good to know. Like I said, we're saying a baseline for roughly the multipliers for the dog. All right, guys, so we know the multipliers for Fulll here. So let's compare Fulll versus the dog. 2.5x attack for Tholin's A1. So we could probably say that the dog's A1 is probably similar to 2.5 attack multiplier for his A1, maybe slightly worse. Maybe it's like 2.4x. But also remember that the dog does do double damage with Shaik on the field. So they probably have to temper their his normal damage a little bit just because they have to account for the Shaik combo bonus. And here's the big thing, his A2 here, he was ignoring 50% of the target's defense, exact same as the dog's A2. Oh, sorry, the A3. So the dog's A3 exactly ignoring 50% of the target's defense. And it is a 2.4x multiplier for Fulll. Remember, it's a double hit. So combined is a 4.8x multiplier on a single target. The dog was hitting for about 120k and Fulll was hitting for about 150k. So honestly, for the dog, I could see like it's roughly like 20% drop in damage compared to Fulll. So I could see this multiplier on the dog's A3 being about 4x attack. But keep in mind that his passive allows him to attack twice with the Packmaster on the field, right, against the devoured heads. So he theoretically could be hitting for 8x multiplier if your champion gets devoured. So his A3 can't be like overpoweringly strong. So I'm expecting a relatively modest 4x multiplier on his A3 and expecting a relatively modest maybe 2.2 on his A1. Also keep in mind that the books were very similar between Fulll and Kro'Khad as well. Now for Kro'Khad's A2, I think it actually hits pretty good because he was doing about 75k on the first hit. If we kind of extrapolate a little bit from the A1, we can kind of expect a multiplier of about 3, maybe low 3s on his A2, but keep in mind it's a double hit. So we're probably expecting a pretty big multiplier with 2 hits combined, maybe at least 6x. So really strong A2 here, like really strong. And the fact that he can place the irresistible debuffs, Leech and Weaken, which are really good. You can't get those debuffs from sets or like relics or anything like that. So you need it in the ability kit for the champion. So these are really good debuffs for places like Hydra if you really need it. Obviously Weaken's very good, but Leech, some teams don't need Leech, I get it. But these are really good debuffs and it basically automatically gives you a double hit. And the multipliers for his A2 should be great. Should be at least 3x on each hit. So it should be a 6x hit on his on an AoE. Very powerful ability. So far nothing too crazy, right? Like his A1 is modest, but because of the Shaik's bonus, gonna be very strong. And this one again modest, but with Shaik's ability very strong. And of course you have to factor in a little bit that he does hit through Life Barrier and Poison Cloud, so those are benefits as well. And keep in mind that his damage will scale up as the fight continues. So overall, no real surprises in his kit. That's kind of a good thing in terms of the multipliers, but I am surprised that this ability actually hits that hard. So I'm really impressed with this and really solid debuffs that can't be resisted. So you don't need to build him out with accuracy. I'm liking him so far. Let's bring him into some teams and see what he can do. All right, guys, but first I want to test him out in Chimera to make sure that his A1 is working as I was told. Quickly looking here at the A1. So his ability will ignore reflect damage buffs and effects. So they did change that text there. So let's make sure that it works. So right now, if I hit him, I should lose HP if he was just a regular champion. So this should do nothing. Oh my god, it actually did nothing. So that means he will be immune to the reflect damage effects. That is actually amazing. That is actually amazing. Whether he's actually useful in Chimera or not is actually to be, to be determined. I don't think he hits hard enough based on what we're seeing right now. But the fact that he doesn't kill himself, could help. Could help a lot of people actually. Let's see. Let's play this out a little bit. Let's play this out a little bit here. Okay, so I want to wait for a decreased defense and weaken before we do the big hit here. I guess we can land. Oh, sorry, that was the A2. Sorry, only the A1 will prevent the reflect damage. Sorry. Then I guess it's not really worth. He's not really worth using then. If you can only use the A1 against the Ram, not really worth using. He just doesn't do enough damage. He just doesn't do enough damage against the Chimera, so you would not bring him in to handle Chimera content. But let's bring him to the, probably the main spot where you're probably going to be using him, and it's going to be in Hydra. Let's see what kind of Hydra teams we can make with him, and yeah, we'll go from there. All right, guys, we are on brutal difficulty here, and we're going to compare Kro'Khad by himself against some of the other popular damage dealers in Hydra. Unfortunately, I don't have a low blessing Thor or Mishnaki or anything like that, but I did decide to turn off, not turn off, but basically switch up their blessing so that they don't get benefits from Nature's Wrath or anything like that. That's pretty much as close as we can get. And then basically the blessings would just give them additional stats, but we kept the gear pretty close in line with Kro'Khad so that there's no crazy discrepancy in kind of damage there. And yeah, we'll see how well he does in a standalone test against some of these really, really solid damage dealers here. So let's jump right into it. I think we'll do some manual play for now. Going ally attack. All right, got Ugo in there. And let's start. We can go with the weaken right away. We can do that. This is really nice, this poison cloud. So we have the poison head here, and then if the poison cloud lands, we can use the A2 to go through it. A1's really good, but no buffs out. Let's use the A2. Pretty good smacks. About 180k after the double hit. Let's see what Thor can do. We'll start with the A3 here. The A3 is a little bit weaker. Plus attack is on. Yep. So Thor's hitting for about 100. So his A3 is significantly weaker than Kro'Khad's A2. Okay, so that's good to know. At least Kro'Khad has that on Thor. Okay. Not going to be able to provoke this guy, I think. Let's go with the AoE smack here. Meter boost. Can we kill him off? Let's see here. Okay, let's test out the A3 here. 50% ignore defense. Big smack coming in. And pop. 280. Okay, so clearly a lot of damage there. Let's see what Thor can do with the A2. This is a big hit. And pop. Way bigger. Thor's A2 hits super hard. Way harder than the dog's A3. All right, there's the poison cloud. Got to test, but we just used the A3 here, so not going to work out. Maybe we'll get back to it. We'll get back to it. And yep, we're not going to land any of that. We get an extra turn. All right, here we go. Ignore life barrier, poison cloud. Let's go. Oh, that's actually kind of nice. It's kind of nice. It's kind of nice. Not gonna lie, guys. It's kind of nice. Oh, big smack there. Oh no! Dog down. At least we tested out the effect on the poison clouds. That's actually kind of nice. All right, let's try again. This time, let's try not to die. All right. I also didn't have gear on my Necmo, so we'll just forget about that run there. Let's see if we can provoke. Yes, we do have provoke. Place a provoke set on Necmo. A million times better now. All right. He's going to go for a double hit here for sure. Double hit. And then Thor's coming in. So I could say like the dog's A2 is stronger than Thor's A3, but Thor's A2 is just kind of bonkers. Thor's yeah, his A2 is pretty bonkers. So can't really compare there. But yeah, we did showcase his A3 a little bit there through the Poison Cloud, which is pretty cool. 280k there. Not particularly that strong, especially when you look at Thor's damage on his A2. Like Thor's hitting for, like, you see a 700k hit here. So versus, you know, the A3 from the dog is definitely, yeah, no chance. No chance that's going to be good. All right, let's see. So by himself, he's definitely not going to be like strong enough as some of the best damage deals. Like his A2 hits pretty good. His A2 hits pretty good, and it brings relevant debuffs and all that stuff. But by himself, he's not, you know, he's not insane or anything like that, especially compared to someone that's actually insane like Thor. So let's finish off this quick fight here. We'll do some quick battles with this group, and let's add Shayak into the mix and see what he can do after that. But right now, I'm not really impressed with his output, at least relative to somebody like Thorman here. So you can kind of see the big smacks. Even Mishinaki's AoE hit, you know, deals significantly more damage than the dog's A3. So I think the dog's biggest ability is going to be his AoE attack, which actually hits really good. So it's not so much his A3. His A3 is more of a gimmicky kind of attack that, you know, helps you free your champions in a pinch, I guess. Look at those hits. 2 million each. 2 million each. It's a lot, guys. It's a lot. All right, let's check out the damage numbers here real quick. Obviously, we just did 7 turns, so it's not a big thing. But Thor's doing 12 million. Mishinaki is doing 11. And most of that is coming from, I would say, Hex probably. And Kro'Khad here doing 6.4 million. Not a fair comparison, guys. So purely based on the multipliers, we can kind of tell already that Kro'Khad wasn't going to be able to match up very well against somebody like Thor, which is basically one of the best I would say one of the best non-S tier damage dealers in Hydra. So Kro'Khad's not really at that level just based off multipliers alone. Let's pair him up with Shayak and see what he can do with him. All right, guys, so here is my Shayak. So I basically just subbed out Ugo for Shayak. We do have decreased defense here with Mishinaki, so we're not losing anything. We're losing, well, more uptime, I guess. But we gained the block buffs here from Shayak, and he will be the mischief tank if we need it. I basically also moved the gear directly from Ugo onto Shayak. He now has a Hex set as well, and together they gain quite a bit of benefits. So Shayak here, he gains his A1 will get Kro'Khad to attack with him, which is pretty insane. And then his A2 here, all his buffs will be protected. And then his A3, he doesn't require accuracy to land his block buffs, but he does need accuracy to land the decreased defense. And he does have a Hex placement on his passive, which does require accuracy as well. And his passive is going to allow Kro'Khad to attack whenever Shayak is attacked himself. So it will be interesting. I was building out Shayak here, and there's a couple different ways you can go. I just went with the Hex set. It's not going to increase, I mean, it will increase the amount of hexes that he lands, but he just doesn't have that many attacks. He just has his A1 really. So we did go with Mastery that extends the Hex as well, so there's always a chance of that. Let's see how this runs. I mean, I'm really interested. But yeah, let's try it out. Okay, so we still have the provoke set on Necmo here. There we go. All right, so Shayak. We can place protected buffs on himself, or we can go block buffs, turn meter boost. Let's go block buffs, turn meter boost. So this debuff cannot be resisted anymore because he's paired up with Kro'Khad, and you can kind of see the text here. They updated it in the test server. Feels good, man. Let's do it. There we go. Perfect. And now this, Kro'Khad's A2, it's irresistible. I didn't change the gear on Kro'Khad because, like I said, I wanted the comparison to be as as little discrepancies as possible. So I didn't change any of the gear. I could definitely remove all the accuracy from his gear and just pump him up with attack. That's what you would be doing with Shayak. But I just left a little bit of accuracy on him. So here we'll land the Weekend and Leech. Then Thor can land decreased speed if he wants. Boom, decreased speed landed. And a decreased defense here from Mishinaki. Everything's looking good. We did not provoke the head here, so he's probably going to cut loose, unfortunately. Let's see here. So this one's going to place protective buffs on Shayak. This one is going to ally attack with the dog. So let's see how this works. Let's test out this A1. Let's test out his A1. So when Shayak attacks, the dog will attack. But when the dog attacks, his A1 should deal double damage, I believe. Let's test. $150K. I think it's double damage, right? So this attack deals double damage when counterattacking. Oh, counterattacking. Unfortunately, it's counterattacking. Okay, so this one is going to be... this is going to be a repeat. Let's try this one, the repeat. Oh, that's nice. That is nice. Now that's a hit. That's a real hit now. Okay. Okay, guys, that's a real hit now. Oh, that's good. That is good. But it's still just a single target hit. Like you see Thor there just obliterate and deal so much damage across everybody. It's still just a single target hit. Oh, the counterattack. Did you guys see that? Did you guys see that? We got hit. And then because Shayak got hit, the dog counterattacked. That is nice, guys. That is real nice. That is real nice, actually. That is real nice. Try to get A1. The dog's going to A1 here. You know, this damage is going to add up. That's the thing. This damage is going to add up. See, look, Shayak just got hit. He attacks again and then heals up. Yeah, this damage is going to add up over time. Oh, baby. It's just endless AoEs here. Okay. Okay, I can see how this can be pretty strong. And obviously, Clarium, tempered his multipliers quite a bit. So without Shayak, he's very mediocre, except for his A2. His A2 is quite good. But with Shayak, he's going to be counterattacking with his A1 quite a bit. So even though his A1 has relatively lowish multipliers or average-ish multipliers, he's just doing it so often. Okay, I like it. So we have Pain Link here. I wonder how that works. Go with the taunt. Oh, okay. Did that Pain Link? Did we hit Podrick there? Podrick has the Pain Link on. I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure how it works. We can cleanse off. Pain Link. Oh, I guess if the Pain Link is on the dog, then he won't take damage. That's probably how it works. To test that would be hard, though. We have to get Pain Link landed on the dog. That would be hard to test. Okay, well, we can play this out for a couple dozen turns and see how it goes. Here comes the A1. Decreased defense, very nice there. Double hit. Double hit. Smack. Smack. You know, 1.8. 1.8. All right. 1.8 is all right. Still a single target hit, so it's not going to be ideal. A1. A1 again. A1. Thor is going to get eaten first, and then we get to see it in action. The devouring. Let's go. Come on. All right. Cleanse off. And now we place the block buffs. Block buffs is on. Weekend leech landed. Okay. Okay, decrease speed. Landed on some. Go taunt. The Shy got hit, and then the counterattack attacked a counterattack from the A1. Probably double damage there, right? So see if we can kill this guy. Pretty good hits, just under 2 mil, but doesn't seem insane. No decreased defense there, I think. Oh, it would have been nice if he was like immune to fear or something. That would have been pretty cool. If he was immune to fear, then he wouldn't be stopped by this head of torment. This way he's kind of stopped. Let's see. Yeah, he's kind of stopped by this head of torment. Okay. Yeah, we can't kill it right now. Counterattack, very nice. Yeah, I mean, you know, I could see it being okay. I could see it being okay. Definitely see it being okay. These are the counterattacks with the leech out there. Gives them basically like a heal back. That's kind of nice. Okay. Let's go. Yeah. Yeah. Does okay. He does okay. I think with Shayak, he's quite interesting. With Shayak, he's quite interesting. I mean, he gets a lot better. He gets a lot better. But I don't know if he's gonna be better than. I'm not too sure if he's, you know, worth that effort to include a champion like Shayak, just so you can get kind of like a little bit of extra damage out of him. I mean, he's bringing stuff to the team, right? He's bringing Weekend, he's bringing Leech, so he is useful. Not totally useless. He's not like getting carried or anything like that. Okay, finally, this head of torment goes down. A little bit annoying there. Ah. Okay, let's see. Let's let them have the reflect damage up. And it should work, right? We already tested it against the Chimera and it worked. Let's test it against the Hydra, see if they can get the reflect damage up. We'll test against that. Oh, the one shot. Okay, we gotta stop it here if we want a proper damage comparison. Unfortunately, he died from the one shot. So he is kind of squishy, right? He only has 14k HP. But we already kind of know that the reflect, condition of his A1, it works because we tested against Hydra. You can kind of see here, 24 million from Kro'Khad, 18 million from Thor. There we go. Look at this, guys. Look at this. His damage is coming through. His damage is coming through with Shaik. Actually, this is actually quite impressive. This is quite impressive. Mishinaki here, 18 million, which actually lines up pretty well with Thor because in the initial test, Mishinaki and Thor were very similar in terms of overall damage. Very similar. And in this fight, Mishinaki would have been the sole, basically the sole Hex champion, right? Because Shaik, it's not going to land Hex consistently. So Mishinaki is the sole Hex champion. Whereas in the first test, Ugo was kind of landing Hex as well. But look at Kro'Khad, guys. 24 million. I think this is something. I think this is something. The problem here is that you have to include Shaik here with 1 million. So, you can make the argument that you could have Kro'Khad spot and Shaik spot, and then put basically like, as long as you can get more than 24 plus 1.3 million from those two spots with two other champions, the argument can be made that they're totally replaceable, right? They're totally replaceable as long as you can get the damage from, somewhere else from two spots. But absolutely impressive, to be honest, that his damage was that strong. Let's check out what the builds are for some of these guys so you guys get a baseline. So Thor here, this is what we were using. Very similar, right? 230 speed, 294 crit damage, 6.3k attack. Similar damage output, lower speed, slightly higher damage than the dog, slightly higher stats, but much lower speed, we do have a blessing. We use nourish, just so no additional, blessing bonuses and stuff like that. Mastery, same thing, helm smasher. We also use Mishinaki as the damage comparison here. Helm smasher as well. We used basically, a blessing that has no benefit. We do have the crown here. Unfortunately, I didn't remove this. Luckily, Thor didn't have one. Okay, so Mishinaki's damage is slightly inflated because of the crown. But luckily Thor didn't have it, so Thor is a better baseline here. I forgot to remove this one from Mishinaki, unfortunately. His total stats here, 280, 5.5k defense. And then once again, we can take a look at the dog again in terms of stats. 284, 278, so much faster, similar attack, and slightly less crit damage than Thor. You could probably argue that it's probably slightly better stats overall. Helm Smasher as well. So, but obviously the small difference in stats don't make up the big damage difference there. In terms of Shaik, this is the Shaik that I was using. I was just using a basic Hex set. It's just fast, has some accuracy. Doesn't need accuracy really, but he needs accuracy to land decreased defense and Hex if you want to do that. No relics. We use masteries, kind of whatever masteries. It's not super important for Shaik. Lasting Gifts is pretty nice. Master Hexer for the block buffs is pretty nice. And the Hex, that's kind of important. Otherwise, we use Necmo in a Provoke set, which is pretty standard stuff. Not crazy stats or anything. And then we use Podrig here in just a protection set. Nothing pretty crazy there. Now, overall verdict here, is it worth going for this guy? I think he is decent by himself. So if you don't have Shaik, I think he's decent by himself, but I don't think he's anything super special. He can be a damage dealer for you if you need these debuffs in your Hydra teams or whatever team you plan to use him on. This is a nice gimmicky ability like the Life Barrier, Poison Cloud. Same thing with the A1 reflect damage stuff. But honestly, without Shaik, he's not that powerful. Without Shaik, he's not that powerful. And if you don't need the debuffs, he's not that powerful as well. Also, this passive takes a little bit of time to fully ramp up. So maybe he wasn't even fully ramped up in our longer fight there. We did kill a bunch of heads, but he would need to kill 5 heads himself. I don't know if he did, but it does require a little bit of time to ramp up. So I think by himself, he's, not great. Not great. He's okay by himself without Shayak. If you need these debuffs, then he gets a lot better. With Shayak, I think he has a strong case of being a strong damage dealer. Obviously, a lot of this damage will get through because he won't die from reflect damage and he won't give you headaches like that. And having this ability is actually pretty cool because the double hit to try to free your champion right away is actually a really nice touch. And keep in mind, he doesn't need accuracy with Shayak. So with Shayak, I think he's actually worthwhile as a damage dealer, especially if you don't have like the ultra premium stuff. And this champion would probably excel in lower difficulties because his base stats are not that high, so his survivability is on the low side. So if you can slap him into like a tier B or a tier C team, he's probably gonna do some pretty good damage for you with Shayak. But I think by himself, you really have to lean hard on these debuffs if you need it. They're good debuffs, and every team on Hydra basically needs them. And for him, if you think about him as, oh, he's providing debuffs and he's also providing some damage, that's pretty good. But I think by himself, he's not going to be like a game-changing champion. I think with Shayak, he is definitely good, but you're taking up 2 spots, right? So you're taking up 2 spots. One champion deals no damage, and one champion, deals good damage. But to be honest, Kro'Khad is kind of carrying Shayak. I don't really see Shayak being that great for Hydra teams nowadays. Yes, he brings untouchable block buffs. Great. Yes, he can be a mischief tank. That's great. He can actually bring additional damage by, getting hit, his A1 ally attacks and all that stuff. And of course, his Hex passive. But if you can basically fill up, the debuffs that both of them bring and then, cover the damage with 2 slots, just think of them as 2 slots. If you can cover the damage and debuffs with 2 slots, then they're kind of replaceable, to be honest. But it really comes down to what you guys have on your roster. So make sure you guys keep that all in mind. Anyways, guys, that's going to be the showcase here on Kro'Khad. I'm sure we'll do some more content on this and Shayak in the near future. Hopefully it gives you guys a good basic understanding of how good this champion will be for your own account. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Are you guys excited for this champion? Will you guys go for this champion? Will you guys go for Shayak? We know he is available somehow. He's not going to be an additional fusion. He's probably going to be part of an event. My guess is a Hero's Path with the Soul. And then you're going to have to choose the Soul or Shayak, the champion. But yeah, let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the showcase. And I'll see you guys in the next one.